Well, stakeholders at the Joy Business Oil and Gas Town Hall meeting have called for a review of aspects of the Petroleum Revenue Management Law, which governs allocation of oil revenue to the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation. This was part of considerations at the Town Hall meeting 10 years after Ghana started the commercial production of oil and gas. Deputy Energy Minister Mohammed Amin Adam, however, says there is no need for an amendment of the law. Charles Aite has more in this report.
The call for the review of the Petroleum Revenue Management Law, according to several stakeholders present at the town hall meeting, had become paramount because the GNPC continues to invest petroleum revenue outside of its core mandate. It is also because the law as it stands now allows government to invest oil money thinly on major projects. The stakeholders say a review will ensure proper management of funds held in the Petroleum Holding Fund at the Bank of Ghana. Delivering the keynote address at the just-ended town hall meeting organized by Joy Business and the Media Foundation of West Africa, head of programs at the Institute of Fiscal Studies, Nicholas Ekodihir, advocated proper investment of the fund.
However, there's a more fundamental issue, which is that the law itself, although the law is what says we should set up an investment advisory committee, the law itself undercuts and undermines the role of the investment advisory committee by prohibiting the investment into certain areas. So the law prescribes a very narrow range of qualifying instruments.
But a ranking member of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, Mr. Adamuta Wakilu, who also advocated a review of the law, thinks the allocation to the annual budget funding amount, APFA, should be looked at critically.
GNPC is not an operator. The only place where GNPC was supposed to be an operator is the AGM block, where GNPC was to set up a special purpose vehicle, which we call the SPLOCO, and they had to take some shares. And in that agreement, they were to be joint operators. That is where the meat is.
On his part, Executive Director for the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Ben Boachi, explained the impact a review will have on investment for the oil and gas sector.
We must be careful not to lock ourselves into lawmaking mode and forget that, you know, the laws are supposed to achieve a certain end. So if you take GNPC's conversation, for example, some of the laws that we are making, whether it's Revenue Management or Petroleum Exploration and Production Act, they all have implication for GNPC. So you may not have a direct new law for GNPC, but they are regulated by all these new laws that are being put in place.
Deputy Energy Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, however, says there is no need for a review of any law. He believes the law, as it stands now, is appropriate and only requires proper implementation.
So you don't necessarily need to review the Petroleum Revenue Management Act to put sanctions in. All we need to do is to use existing regulations and laws that would also have sanctions for management of the resources, and especially the finances of this country.
The Joy Business Town Hall meeting on the oil and gas sector comes at a time when indigenous oil firm Springfield will begin historic oil drilling in its Deepwater West Cape 3 Point, Block 2 in the Western region.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, Dr. Steve Mantiao, is calling for sanctions against government officials who misuse oil revenue for their personal gain. The committee's past reports have revealed non-existent projects, even though funds have already been allocated.
Through the establishment of that additional public oversight body, Ghanaians are getting to know how the resource and the revenue derived from it are being managed in their name. We see a lot of abuses in the use of the petroleum revenues law that going forward. I think what we need to do is to focus on how we made that critical, necessary transition from the disclosures, from the transparency arrangements to accountability. Disappointingly, you find that the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, which is the statute of establishment for PIAC, does not provide sanctions for infractions of the Act. And so that in itself does not serve as an incentive for people to comply with the Act. Going forward, we want to see a review of the PRMA to provide for sanctions for infractions of the Act.
And that's it for business. Back to you anymore. I guess it's Ado and Ado next.